Hello, this is Mrs. Workman. Factor each polynomial. 5x cubed minus 30x squared, 3x squared minus 6x minus 4 plus 2x. Let's go back to the first one. 5x cubed minus 30x squared. We notice that in both of the terms we have coefficients that are divisible by 5. So part of that GCF that we're going to factor out is a 5. That's the largest number that will go into both 5 and 30. Then we have an x cubed and an x squared. The highest power of x that will divide into both of those would be x squared. So the GCF, or the greatest common factor for those two terms, is 5x squared. We're going to use the distributive property to factor this quantity from both of these. In other words, 5x cubed divided by 5x squared is x. Negative 30x squared divided by 5x squared would be negative 6. And so 5x cubed minus 30x squared in its factored form is 5x squared times the quantity x minus 6. Let's look at the second example. The first property I'm going to use here is the commutative property. I'm going to commute these two terms and rewrite the expression as 3x squared minus 6x plus 2x minus 4. And I did this so that I can now use the associative property and group the first two and the second two terms. And you'll see why I'm doing this a couple steps ahead. Looking at just the first two terms, I notice that the GCF for the numerical coefficients is 3. 3 will go into or divide into 3 and also 6. For the variable terms, the x squared and the x is the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor for the two terms, 3x squared minus 6x, is 3x. I'm going to use the distributive property and do those divisions right away. 3x squared divided by 3x is x minus 6x divided by 3x is 2. Let's move to my second group. 2x minus 4 has a greatest common factor of 2. So I'm going to divide a 2 out of both those terms using the distributive property. 2x divided by 2 is x. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. I think it becomes obvious now why we did that initial grouping of those terms. You'll see that we have two terms. This is all one term. This is all another term. And you'll notice that both of those terms share a common factor of x minus 2. We'll now use the distributive property to factor out this common factor of x minus 2 from each of these terms. So this is the GCF, and we'll be using the distributive property to factor it out of the two terms. In other words, we have 3x times the quantity x minus 2, and we're going to divide that by the GCF, which is x minus 2. These common factors divide out, leaving us with 3x. Now I've got the positive 2 times the quantity x minus 2, and I'm going to divide it by the GCF as well, x minus 2. Common factor in the numerator and denominator could be divided out, leaving us with plus 2. We were given this original polynomial after using the commutative property, the associative property, and the distributive property. We have factored it into the factors. X minus 2, that quantity, times the quantity 3x plus 2.